All right.
I'm from East.
Barbara, I just got to move on. We got this from J.D. Vance, the vice president, earlier this morning on X. The president offered multiple off-ramps, but was very clear throughout this process. The drug trafficking must stop and the stolen oil must be returned to the United States. Maduro is the newest person to find out that President Trump means what he says. Scott in Minnesota, Republican, you're next.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Scott. Yes, I was very much in favor of the president going to Venezuela. How many times do you have to warn this individual on what was coming into this country as far as fentanyl and what it was doing to the American people? How many people were dying from it? This strike, I mean, the guy had been warned for over a month and a half or better and what was going on, and didn't want to cooperate, didn't want to stop the flow of drugs. So I think what President Trump did, I'll stand behind him 110%. And those that don't stand behind him on this because of the fentanyl, I think are
you mean the cocaine?
Americans,
because it's mostly
the cocaine.
It's mostly cocaine. Yeah,
cocaine is mostly cocaine and fentanyl. You know, and that's what both of them kill many, many, many people. And I just feel what he did was true. And like I say, he's been warned many, many times. So
we've got that 100% point. Here's Robert, Westbrook, Maine, Independent Line. Go ahead.
Everybody out there, okay? Trump invaded and striking Venezuela and capturing the president and his wife because of breaking the law and doing things that are very bad. But yet, Trump is a convicted felon, and he's running the country. What? How is that possible? A convicted felon goes to another country to stop crime when he did so much crime and was convicted of it by his peers, and every single day he's doing crazy shit. He's a live wire. He should never have been in the first place. He wouldn't even be able to get a job, taking out the trash. I'm sorry, but this guy is evil, and there's no better word for it. I have no.
All right, and let's talk to Devin in Vienna, West Virginia, Democrat. Go ahead, Devin.
Hi. I really think that we kidnapped the next president of the United States, really dictator of the United States. I think really we should bring in Xi from China. I mean, that's what the Democrat policy is now, so I think we ought to go with that. That's all I got to say. Bye.
Daniel, Staten Island, New York, Republican. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yes, hi. I just want to say President Trump is doing a great job. I mean, all these drugs coming into our country, fentanyl killing hundreds of thousands of people each and every year. It's about time that a United States president stands up to these drug cartels and says enough is enough. It's about time that we have a president like Trump that says something and he's going to do it. And I'm so proud of calling him Mr. President Donald Trump because he's doing a hell of a job. Thank you so much.
Jason, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Independent Line. You're on the air.
Hi. Yeah, I don't think this is about drugs with Venezuela. This is about oil. If it was about fentanyl, he would be standing up to China because we all know that China is the biggest importer of fentanyl. And fentanyl comes through the ports, okay? So this is a dog and pony show. I mean, Maduro was a dictator, and, it's good that he's gone, but the Venezuelan people should have freed themselves. I don't think regime change is good for our image. And as far as Trump, I mean, I voted for him twice, but I'm very disappointed with him the second time. Stephen Miller, his attack on the Venezuelan community, calling them they haven't done nothing, they're criminals. And I mean, you hear these people are so easily duped. They're very easily duped. They're like, yeah, this is about drugs. Well, a monkey knows what tree to climb. If Trump really wanted to go after the fentanyl crisis, he would go after China and say, hey, enough is enough. You guys keep doing this, and we're just going to put on more sanctions or something. But I understand China's another superpower, and it's not that easy. But Venezuela, Maduro's just a puppet. Is it good for Venezuela? We'll yet to see. We'll see.
All right,
but
Jason. And here's the Associated Press. It says Trump told Fox News he spoke to Maduro several times, including most recently a week ago. It says Maduro denied that in an interview on New Year's Eve, saying he had only spoken to Trump in November. And we are standing by to hear from President Trump in Mar-a-Lago. That's the podium there with reporters assembled. And we will take your calls until he gets to the podium. Chris, Antioch, Tennessee, Democrat, go ahead.
Yes, hi. I'm a Democrat. I'm married to a Venezuelan, and I have a number of Venezuelans and Colombians as in-laws. And I think this could be a good thing for Venezuela, although I disagree with a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump has done. If you look at what Venezuela has been through for the last 26 years with Chavez and Maduro, it's been horrible for Venezuela. And this could be a very good thing for Venezuelans and for the United States. And I'm just kind of surprised also by the misinformation on both sides of the aisle, calls coming in and people comparing this to Gaza or Afghanistan. And this looks to me like it's a police action. And if there's a peaceful transition to democracy, I think this will be a very good thing.
All right, Chris. Doug is next in Falls Church, Virginia, Republican. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Thank you all so much for taking my call. I've listened to you all for most of the morning, and I feel like so many callers are getting this wrong on many levels, right? Venezuela has, I believe, the largest oil reserve in the world. Everyone's talking about that this is mainly about oil. Yes and no. I think the implication that people are saying is that we're going to go down there and take this oil. That's not what's happening, right? The intent of this is to really about regime change. I think it has nothing to do with really drugs. I think that's like maybe tertiary or the fourth reason to do this. It's mainly because we've sanctioned them so much that now they are selling oil at a severe discount to China and then selling to the Cubans at a very, very reduced rate, which is very much propping up both those countries and regimes, which is obviously not in our interest. At the same time, because of how Maduro is treating his people, right, that so many of them are leaving their country and going everywhere. If you look at the Biden administration, millions of Venezuelans have come into our country because they've been trying to escape their own, as well as gone all throughout that region and potentially are destabilizing all those countries around it, whether it's, Chile or Colombia or Venezuela. So many of those different countries, even Argentina, they've had such a massive shift to the right as a direct response to all the immigration and migration that is exiting Maduro's Venezuela. At the same time, there's all this gang activity from Tren de Agua that is now going to all this other region. If people were to look at the regional response to this activity, you have people cheering in the streets, like the capital of Chile, applauding this action because Maduro is so severely disliked. And if you look back at the Biden administration, part of what they were trying to do was, hey, push Maduro to have these free and fair elections and trying to have a sanction relief being like a trade-off. And they conducted those elections, and Maduro lost resoundingly. I think he got a third of the vote, and the opponent, I think, was that Lopez, got 2/3 of the vote. So people are calling this regime change. It's not. Maduro lost an election, refused to leave, and now this is undoing the coup, basically, that Maduro did by staying in office.
All right.
This is validating those elections.
Here's Mark, West Point, Kentucky, Independent Line. Go ahead, Mark.
Yes, I'm a 68-year-old American. I have been voting since 1976. Since January 6th attack on our Capitol, I have never in my life seen what I have seen Americans starting to go through. This person in charge, I do believe he is the Antichrist. And when he starts doing nuclear, I pray to God for our world.
Josh in Georgia, Democrat. Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, how are y'all doing? I guess it put me on the Democrat line. I'm Republican, yet I love everything that Trump's doing. My father has actually worked security for him, multiple details in Macon, Georgia. My grandmother from every morning. I mean, what he's doing right now is needed because America does not need to look weak. Granted, multiple presidents have made us look weak over the past term or years over the past terms, but when I tell you, I appreciate everything Trump's doing. You got to put your boot down sometimes. That's what we got to do. I'm sick of everybody talking bad about him, saying he's anti-Christ. Every president was anti-Christ before him, and it's just upsetting. I would shake his hand every morning if I could. He's a great person. God loves him, and he is going to keep this country safe, whether he's got to put his boot down once or twice. That's what's got to happen, and I'm going to leave it at that.
And the Republican line in Virginia Beach. Sorry, Strattonville, Pennsylvania. Glenn, you're on the air.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for taking my call today. We've got a lot of people in this country with a lot of messed up thinking, so I'm just going to say what I got to say. Maduro lost the election. You talk about a dictator and a half. Let's talk about their oil. I challenge anyone out there to do the research on Venezuela oil. It's junk. It costs more to refine it than anything, okay? Now, the people of Venezuela, look at them. Are you showing videos of them on the streets celebrating, tearing down all Maduro posters, burning them? They're happy. They're celebrating in the streets. This was all about the drugs coming into our country, not the oil. And last but not least, he's a socialist. This is why the Democrats are really upset, because another socialist crony was taken down. A dictator socialist crony was taken down. The Democrats can't stand it. And I'll tell you why the Democrats weren't notified this was going to happen, because they're known to leak things.
All right. And this is what President Trump has posted on Truth Social. Nicolás Maduro on board the USS Iwo and it shows here Nicolás Maduro, he's in sweats, he's got blindfolds over his eyes, and he's got a bottle of water in his hands. This is the only picture it looks like that we've got of him. So that's on President Trump's Truth Social post. Virginia Beach, Virginia, independent line. Is it Nolak?
Yes, this is Nolak. Yes, I'm independent, also retired military. I lean more towards the right. So I'd be, 20, 30 years ago, I'd probably side Democrat. But, I just common sense approach. This is Monroe Doctrine 101. You can't be a communist dictator in our hemisphere. It just is what it is. We have the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1963. It's the same premise. It's the drugs, the Tren de Aragua, and you can't flood a country with millions of people. I think Mexico is watching out, is looking over their shoulder now. This is an example of how military can be used as a scalpel rather than just a club. And where I support this, I would really like to see him bring peace between Russia and Ukraine, because the outcome of that is going to be the same regardless. Russia's going to keep what they have. All we're doing is sending people into a meat grinder. I like what he did here, and I would like him to bring peace to the rest of the world.
So when you mentioned Mexico, would you be okay with military action against Mexico?
If it's done the way that this operation was done, quick action, people in and out. I don't want to see basically where it's anarchy and chaos in the street, but it seems that their leaders pretty much look at us as a joke. They flood us with millions of people. They just let it happen. And I understand that they were pretty much given a green light by the last administration. But if it's done like this and there's an actual plan for a succession where you see Venezuela, Maduro clearly did lose an election. If it was something where the people are actually supporting it, which you've been seeing in the last 3 or 4 weeks in Mexico, people are fed up over there. Mexico is artificially suppressed in the same way that Venezuela was. They've never had freedom in that part of the country, so they don't know really what to subscribe to. If we gave them a plan of, hey, this is what your country could be, I would definitely support it. Not if it's just going to be like, we're going to remove a dictator and then whatever fills a vacuum. No, I would not.
Roger, Newport, Kentucky, Democrat. Go ahead, Roger.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. First of all, just to the last caller, I think the people in Mexico and Venezuela would disagree. They definitely have had freedom and liberty at some point in their past. As a Democrat, I fully am glad that Maduro's gone. This is good for the Venezuelan people. but this could have been done in a better way. This could have been done with coordination by regional partners. We also could have relied on the UN, and we could have gotten approval from Congress to do this before executing it. Overall, though, I hope that this works out for Venezuelans. Thank you. That's all.
Angela, Abbottstown, Pennsylvania, Republican. Hi, Angela.
Hi, I'm not from Abbottstown. I'm from Chambersburg. Sorry.
But still Pennsylvania, right?
It is still Pennsylvania, ma'am.
Okay.
I just want to say, first of all, I live in the greatest country in the world, okay? And I sat here and for the last half hour, and I've listened to so many people tear down our president and what he's doing. You know, Abraham Lincoln once said, a country divided cannot stand. And I look at this country, and it saddens me that we live in the greatest country in the world, but the people are divided. It's time Democrats, Republicans come together, okay? We live in the greatest country in the world, and we put down our president. I'm proud of our president. Yeah, he's brash at times. Yeah, he's mouthy at times. But I trust him, and I believe that he's doing what's best for my freedom, okay? If anybody does not appreciate their freedoms, then you shouldn't live in the United States. If you want to live in a socialistic country where you're controlled, where your guns are taken away, if you want to live in a place like Venezuela, please be my guest and leave. Because you know what? If you don't appreciate your country, you cannot be a true American.
All right. And the Associated Press has this. Several callers have brought up the pardoning of the ex-Honduran president. It says that Trump's dramatic action against Maduro is the polar opposite of the clemency he granted to former Honduran President Hernandez. Trump in December pardoned Hernandez, though he was sentenced to 45 years in prison for helping drug traffickers to safely move hundreds of tons of cocaine north through his country to the U.S. Hernandez, who enjoyed support from officials in the first Trump administration, was convicted by a U.S. jury in New York, which Maduro is now set to face. When asked in an interview with Politico about the pardon, Trump said, quote, "I don't know him, and I know very little about him," but added that he was told that Hernandez, quote, was set up. The country deals in drugs, like probably you could say that about every country, and because he was the president, they gave him like 45 years in prison. That's a quote from President Trump. Patrick is calling us from Columbus, Ohio, Independent Line. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I just want to bring up a point no one's really talked about. Venezuela has one of the world's largest gold deposits. There was a Canadian company called Crystal X International Corporation. There's been multiple legal fights over this reserve going back and forth. But I just want to bring up that point that there's a lot of resources there. I hope the best for Venezuela and the United States of America, but I just want to bring that up.
And here's Michael in Smyrna, Georgia, Republican. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I think it's a great day for the U.S. and a great day for the world. We've got a dictator who basically ran the country into the ground. Venezuelans have been trying to leave into the U.S. and other countries for years under the Chavez regime as well as Maduro regime. And so I think that the world should take notice that President Trump is doing exactly what he was supposed to do, and that is restore peace to the world. I don't understand some of these other callers that have been calling and trying to slam Trump for not doing his job. I don't see how you have sympathizers with a dictator who has basically starved his people and ran drugs across into the U.S. and other countries and think, oh, well, that's a bad thing that Trump did. We should be basically rejoicing in what happened today. And I'm excited to hear what Trump has to say about it. But I think the rest of the world, and the caller you just mentioned talked about Mexico, I think Mexico should really be watching as well, because they should be helping us. Mexico has been a corrupt country for decades, and they have basically been turning a blind eye to all the drugs that have been either manufactured there, fentanyl coming in from China, and we have to stop all this. But Mexican and other countries turn a blind eye because they're corrupt, and we know that. So we're taking out these corrupt leaders one by one, and I can only congratulate Trump for doing that. That's what I wanted to say.
All right, Michael, let's go to the line for Democrats. Atlantic Beach, Florida. Sarah, good morning, Sarah.
Hi there. I think it's really naive to think that taking down one person is going to have any impact at all on drugs in the United States. People aren't doing drugs because it's available. We're doing it because we're broken. We have no money. Everything is difficult, and that's there. We have mental health crises. We have health crises, and so I don't understand how America first, instead of focusing on what can we do to get to the root of these problems and make it so that people don't feel the need to do drugs, right? It's just one person is not going to stop the flow of drugs into the United States. It's not going to slow down the overdose deaths at all.
Sarah, we are going to go ahead and end the show here because President Trump has approached the podium. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolás Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer, all perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, it's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors, operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement, caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position, but they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far, with capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to, ultimately, New York. and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago, a little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6, 7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana. And we have done that. It was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing, and we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster and the mayor was a disaster, but it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there. When they need us, we'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people. And now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives, one of the worst, they say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and sold American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill. And the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries. And not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines. And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Donroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs are, they've made our country rich, and they've made our national security stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power. And we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just, fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is